everything collapses before you get what you asked for. You might be somebody right now who is struggling in a lot of different aspects of your life. You might be struggling to find a job right now. Maybe you're struggling to pay for your rent right now. Maybe at the same time, you just decided you want to get a divorce and you are wondering, how the hell am I going to provide for my child or children by myself as a single parent, mother or father? And maybe at the same time, you're struggling to keep friendships and all of your friends are not there for you. They're not supporting you in the way that you thought that they would. And you're just like, is this a movie? Is this a joke? Is this a prank? This all can be falling apart at the same damn time. But let me tell you something, because I've been through this many of times. Maybe it's not falling apart. Maybe it's making space for the life that you actually deserve and you're going to thrive in. And that is going to be in alignment with your soul. Because sometimes what we tend to do is we tend to build a life from our ego, right? So what looks good on social media? I need to have a partner, we need to have a kid, and we need to look really cute. And so we are trying to make the external look so pretty that we forget to work on the internal self, on how do I actually feel about myself and my life and my partner and my children. Since I went through this myself in 2023, Lord help my soul, that was the year that I chose. That was very traumatic and difficult. It was one of the most difficult years of my entire life, okay? At that time in January, I decided to get a divorce. At the same time, I couldn't find a job because I just came out of my 18-month maternity leave. And at the same time, I couldn't leave because I didn't have a job. And at the same time, I didn't know what the hell I was good at. I didn't know who the hell I was. I felt lost, confused, emotionally drained. And at the same time, I had to look after a human being. And so I remember that time to be so torturous, but at the same time, it made me who I am today, so I would never change it. No, I wouldn't change it. And at the same time, I forgot to mention, I got served $50,000 to pay in a car accident that I had the year before. So it was as if like I was in a movie. Like I was like, this cannot be real. This is not real. And I remember vividly being on that couch over there and crying and just being so sad and just in pain. Like, how am I going to do this? And the first thought that popped in my head was that this pain, this agony needs to be used to help somebody else. It's not there just for me to feel hurt and pain and then that's it. There's a reason why I'm going through this. And that was like my first thought. I just knew that there's no way that I'm going to go through this and never, ever help somebody else about it. And this was before I even figured out that I want to be a coach or like a guide or help anybody. So it was very subconscious. I didn't actually, I wasn't aware that that was what I was going to do later on. But I know that was my first thought that came up for me. I want to share with you guys what really helped me because it's something that I wish I knew back then. And so I really want this video to help you if you are in that position right now, because it is a very dark and painful place to be. But all you need to know is that you're going to get out of it. You're going to be fine. You're going to make it. Things are going to work out for you. You're going to do some amazing things in your life. And that this setback is not going to stop you. Okay, so let's get into it. Firstly, what you asked for requires a different version of you. Let's go a little bit deeper. It requires a different level of consciousness. And a lot of people might ask, what the hell is consciousness? Let me tell you what it is because I made some notes. It is your belief system, your emotional baseline, your nervous system state, and your identity. In short, what state do you operate from? Because a lot of us have a thermostat. Like we don't go too high and we don't go too low. We kind of stay right there. Hopefully what I'm saying is making sense. And it's also the way in which you make sense of the things that are happening to you in your life. Interpret. I can never say that word. That's why I don't want to say it, but that's how I say it. let's just go back to what you asked for requires a different level of consciousness. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, I never asked to go through a divorce. I never asked to get fired from a job. Correct, you didn't. Now let's go back to the relationship. Let's just say you are married and you had a partner, and maybe at the very beginning you might have missed some red flags. You might have just stayed in because that is what your parents wanted for you, and you just wanted to succumb and just make it work for your kids, right? So that was what you asked for. You asked to stay in a relationship and to make it work. And when you're asking God or the universe for whatever you want, what happens is that the universe and God gives it to you. Like we might think it doesn't give it to us, but for the most part, we get what we want. And sometimes what we fail to realize is that we're asking these things, like you want to build a home with somebody who you haven't built a foundation with. There's a lot of cracks and there's mold in the home that you want to build. So you might be thinking, what, I wanted to build a nice home with this man. And no. Yeah, you did. And that's okay to have that intention and the dream and the desire. But you might have chosen somebody who wasn't in alignment with the life that you wanted to build. He wasn't in alignment with your values. He wasn't in alignment with your dream vision of your life and what you wanted to see. He wasn't in alignment with the respect that you wanted and needed in a relationship. A lot of us men and women in relationships, we know deep down inside, this relationship is not for us. A lot of us, we already know it, but we pretend to our friends and our family and whoever that, no, this is fine and, it's working, so we're going to make it work. Because, you don't want to get a divorce. You don't want to go to the lawyers and waste all of your money. So you're like, you know what, the kids are going to grow up and we're going to keep on staying until, it makes sense or whatever. So you might be asking for that. Just saying, for example, I'm not saying all of us are, but you might be asking for something in which you haven't thought out fully what is the cost of that thing. And I have been there where I want something so freaking bad, but I don't know what the cost, what I have to pay in order to get that. So I really want you to reflect on what did you truly ask for in life when you were, before you went through that painful experience. What did you ask for? What did you want? And was it truly in alignment with your soul? And did you do your due diligence in figuring out, is this job the right fit for me? Or did you notice that it wasn't the right fit for you? Something was off about it, but instead of confronting it, you chose to ignore it and avoid it and pretend that it's not there. A lot of us men and women do this. So the reason I'm saying this is because I really want you to not do this again. That's literally why I'm making this video. I don't want you to do this shit again. Now, let's say you're somebody who is struggling right now to find a job. And at the same time, your consciousness is fear-based. Let me tell you what happens when your consciousness is fear-based. You see rejection everywhere. You rush decisions, you cling, and you panic, and you react instead of respond. And so if you feel like you're in this type of consciousness right now, then I want you to know that there is a way out of this, because I was in this consciousness for a very long time in my life. And it's painful to be there when you don't see a way out, you don't know the solution. And I don't want you to think that this is it, this is what life is, because it's not. I want you to write this down somewhere. The life that you want requires you to think, feel, and respond differently than you currently do. You cannot achieve whatever the hell you want to achieve with the same energy, with the same consciousness. And this is really about shifting from fear to love. And it is one of the most difficult jumps to do for a human being, especially if you have been programmed and conditioned to live in fear and think a lot of fear-based thoughts. Now coming back to love, you're like, wait, what do you mean love? Like, you want me to think people are loving, but look at the world out there. How the hell am I gonna think that? I know the world is going through some tough times, but when hasn't the world gone through a tough time? Like, there's always a tough time. Like, I remember being, I don't know, 10, 11. And back then there was a tough time with something. And when I was 15, there was another, difficult time. There's always going to be a tough time. There's always going to be friction, wars. There is always going to be this, hopefully not forever, but a war between good and evil. It's just the way it's been for a long time. And we all have a free will. We have a choice to make on what sort of energy we want to project out in the world and what is our true intention with being here. It's our choice to make that. Collapse forces evolution. And it's funny because we can really see this about the world right now. Everything is falling apart and it might look a little bit chaotic right now, but a lot of us have this going on in our lives as well. Collapse forces evolution. Right now in the world, you can kind of see that happening. Everything is falling apart. People are getting, known, and it's just very chaotic right now. And a lot of us might have that, that it might be experiencing that in our own lives right now with jobs, relationships, things just falling apart. And in order to evolve as a human being, as a country, whatever it is, we need to change. Things need to change for the better. And that takes time. That comes with pain. That comes with chaos. So if you're going through a storm right now, all I can say is hold on tight, sweetie, because things are going to get much, much better. But just hold on and be present in it. I know it's really difficult. For whatever reason, that is meant to be part of your story. And also, everything collapses because the version of you that is trying to receive it is not ready to hold it. This happens to a lot of lottery winners. And I remember seeing a show with, was it Steve Harvey or Dr. Phil? I don't remember, but it was Dr. Phil. He was showing 10 to 20 different people that won over $2 to $3 million or even more. And the atrocities that they did or they experienced was insane. And he goes down the list of these people that won the money, lottery winners. One got killed by their sister. The other one went to jail because they went into debt or whatever. And it was just wild to see all these people lose themselves, lose their family members because of money that we have given we have given so much power to it. But I really feel like that ties into this because when we get a lot of money, when we get a lot of fame, whatever it is, when it's something that we're unable to handle, that's when the storm hits us. And you can see this when somebody gets fame too fast or they get money too fast, it ruins lives. And I don't even want to give examples because I don't want to, but one of them is Amanda Bynes. Is that a real name? Oh my God, I'm forgetting. Anyways, she was my favorite. Like, I literally used to watch her show every day. What happened? Like, Britney Spears, all these people. And then they all had their own, crap that they went through with their family members, whoever. They had everything that you would hope for a human being to have and be like, oh my God, I've made it. Like, this is perfect. I don't need anything else. But instead, that ruins their life because they make a choice. Because as a soul, we all have free will. But anywho's, that was just something that I wanted to touch on. The second point that I want to make is that attachment has to die first. And what that really means is that when you're going through a painful experience where you cannot find a job, you keep getting rejected, you don't know what the hell you're meant to do in your life, or your partner says, I don't want to be with you anymore. And what you start to recognize in yourself is the attachment to that person or that outcome. And it's a difficult lesson to learn, but once you realize that your perception of what you thought life should be like, that you should have a 9-to-5 job or you should have a partner that was always there for you, and you should have a big house with 5 bedrooms, and you should have a big car, and you should have your nails done all the time. And so the version of your life that you thought was so important to you, that is going to slowly dissipate. And when this dissipates, you start stressing the hell out because you're like, what on earth am I going to do? How am I going to survive? And a lot of people that believe in God, not to shame anybody because I did this for a very long time, but you say that you trust God and you pray to God, but you're still gripping control and you're still trying to figure it out all by yourself, when in reality, you are not as powerful as the universe, as God. Like, you just aren't. I used to think that it was just me that was doing all of these things, that was able to manifest all these things. But we fail to realize that there was a huge part of God, your angels, spirit guides, whatever you believe in, choose to believe in. They are there to help you to get these manifestations, your desires. And so the question comes then is, how do we allow ourselves to let go of the control that we have? And it's a difficult process. I'm not going to lie. It is difficult and I struggle with it myself. But you know what pops in my head sometimes is, I would say pretty much till I was 27, 28, I wasn't that person that was dying to have kids. Honestly, when I would see a child, I'd be like, oh gosh, you're so annoying. Go back to your mom. And at 29, I got pregnant. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, is having a child, because it humbled me real quick. My ego, it dissipated so fast. And so what I'm trying to say is that I didn't plan for that. I didn't plan for the greatest gift on this planet Earth. It happened naturally and organically and without me even wanting it or needing it. And so God knows what you really need and what you're come here to do. And when you try to control everything in your life, that is when suffering begins. That's the biggest lesson I can teach you is you have zero control over anything in your life. And you might think you do, but you don't. And I was listening to Priyanka Chopra's and Jay Shetty's interview. It really just blew me away because I love her. I love her. I love him. They're just amazing. She worked hard to get what she wanted, and she was in control of everything until she had some issues with getting pregnant, which is really difficult. It's like I can't even fathom that thought. It's something that is so hard for women. And I just, it's heartbreaking to even hear it. I can't even talk about it. But what she was mentioning is that she had all this control growing up and in her business. It worked for her when she was an actress in India. She was in Bollywood and then she came to Hollywood. And she's like, that worked for me. She had a surrogate that had the baby. And when they found out that they're having the baby at 27 weeks, which is very scary, right? For the mother, for everybody. And at that moment, she just shut down. There was no solutions because there is no solutions. And that is literally what God is. It's like you try to control your life. You try to do all the right things. But there could be one moment in which you're in shock. You're like, wait, how do I fix this? And you can't. You literally can't fix anything. And you just have to pray to God and you just have to hope for the best. And I feel like life does that to you sometimes. You know, you go through a bit of a challenge in your life and you realize, wait, I can't do anything about it. And it's a very scary place to be, especially when it involves kids. Like that's just, I think, the worst of the worst. I heard somebody say this before and it hit me after, but they said, you can't pray to God and then also worry at the same time. Like, how does that work? How do you pray to God and then stress that it's not going to work out? Like, and I had to sit and actually think about that. I'm like, wait, that is right. Like, why do I pray and have all this faith and then I'll also get worried and scared? And, you know, and I get it. It's a human emotion, right? And then it's the unknown. But at the same time, you also need to, you know, nurture that faith that we all should try to, not all, I mean, if you don't, you don't, you can't do anything about it. But if you do, try to talk to yourself about it. You might say that you want abundance, but then you're terrified of uncertainty. And this one was huge for me because in order to make money, you need to open up that hand. Because if you have your hands like this, there's nothing going to be able to come inside of there. So that's another lesson that I had to learn myself. And that's why I lost a lot of my money. And so if you want money in your life, if you want abundance, you have to stop being afraid of losing money. Because so many people, when you read books and you listen to people that have built empires and businesses, a lot of them have gone bankrupt. They literally have lost all of their money. They've built it back up and maybe lost it back again and then built. There's no proper line where, I mean, for most people, most successful people, they don't have a lot of these. It's like this, and then they go down and they're there for a little bit and then they go up again. And then that really made me more fearless when it came to money and just using it when you really need it, when you want to invest it into your business instead of just being so afraid of using it. A collapse exposes where you're attached to outcomes instead of aligned with trust. And detachment feels like a loss before it feels like freedom. And that is one of my biggest lessons in life, is whenever I have detached from the outcome and I just follow what I am passionate about and I just start doing things that excite my soul, that is when shit starts happening. But the moment that I say, okay, I'm doing this and I need this outcome, and if it doesn't come, I'm going to be really stressed about it. I'm going to be annoyed about it. But when I just, you know what? I'm just having fun with it. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who the hell cares? And I just have that mindset. I mean, I still continue putting the work and having fun and enjoying, but I don't stress about the outcome. And the last point that I want to make is that collapse is correction, not a punishment. And I know that a lot of us think that God wants to punish us and wants to hurt us and wants to harm us and wants to see us cry and sad. And I promise you that's not the case. Even though sometimes it's much easier to think and feel that way because it makes us feel a little bit better. And I definitely, to be honest, I had this thought a couple of months back and I was like, whoa, where did that thought come from? But it happens. I get it. It's a normal human thought. And again, also recognizing that not every thought is a fact. A lot of our thoughts, we have about, I believe it was 60,000 thoughts that we have in a day. And I think it's about 80 to 90,000 of them are negative. So most of them are not even factual. So we literally are listening to this broadcast news, especially if you have been conditioned with a lack mindset or a fear-based mindset. You might want to blame somebody else for it. And God is the best way because God doesn't really, he's not going to come and talk to you about it, right? You can't really blame your cat or dog because they're like unconditional love and they just love you no matter, I just love animals. But for the most part, God is the easiest target. I know it sucks to say that, but it is the truth. Okay, it is my truth. It is what I believe. I know not everybody is on board with that, but it's just what I think. When doors close, when money dries up, when people leave, it feels like rejection. But spiritually, it is redirection. You're getting redirected to where you should have been, but you took a little detour to the wrong highway exit. So this is literally the universe trying to give you a little redirection. And I want to leave you with this. You cannot carry your old identity into an answered prayer. So just think about that for a little sec. So I know this video is a bit long, but I really wanted to give you guys some wisdom and knowledge. And if you ever feel like you're by yourself and you're alone in this, I just want you to know that is very, very much so incorrect. We all go through difficult times. We all go through tough times. And yes, maybe my story is different from yours, but we all go through pain in our lives. It's part of it. It's meant to be part of it. If something in this video really resonated with you, please comment it down below because I really want to know these videos are making some sort of, they're being useful for somebody out there. So please let me know. Thank you guys once again for watching and spending your precious time with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you for subscribing and liking my videos and commenting on my videos. I'd really, really genuinely appreciate it, because I actually like to do this. I actually like to make videos, and I like to edit the videos, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. So please make it happen. I wish you guys all the best, and I will see you guys in the next one.